Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather. At this update, we've got two huge storm systems bringing very heavy snow and some severe weather along its path, plus some intense winds and beneficial rainfall. Also, we'll take a look at your Halloween weekend forecast as well as Halloween day so you can plan ahead and know what to expect. So let's take a look at the overall setup this morning. And it's drastically changed in conditions for portions of the central and eastern two-thirds of the U.S. with that southwest winds of bringing all those warmer conditions. But we've got a pretty significant trough that dived down here into portions of the northwest. That is dumping some beneficial rains back into the Pacific Northwest, and it's cold enough to start snowing again. But in the middle of the country where those two storm systems collide, that spells trouble with those clashing temperature gradients, and that's going to set the stage for some severe weather that's going to be breaking out. So let's take a look at the setup. So we actually had major Hurricane Roslyn that made landfall early in the morning hours as a Category 3, 120 mile per hour hurricane making landfall in Mexico. That is going to die out over into the mountains of Mexico, but it's going to actually help spread some of its remnants and push the precipitation into portions of Texas, along with this powerful upper level low that we're tracking to our northwest, dragging down all that colder air. And that is going to set the stage for our severe weather setup and some very heavy beneficial rains. So we've got numerous weather advisories happening across the north, from winter storm warnings across portions of Montana as well as Idaho. Numerous winter weather advisories. A lot of snowflakes are going to be flying up in this region, but it's going to be very windy. So we've got numerous high wind advisories and high wind warnings in a good chunk along this corridor, meeting into the middle of the country. So it's going to be a very active week ahead, no question. And it's going to kick things off today with some storms, and those could be on the severe side with all three modes of severe weather. So as these systems clash in the middle of the country, we could have some severe storms breaking out into portions of Kansas, as well as Nebraska here, getting into portions of northwestern portions of Missouri, as well as Iowa into Minnesota, with those storms being pretty bumpy. They can include some in large hail along its path, but the main setup is going to be some of those intense winds. There's going to be along that corridor. And yeah, you can't roll out an isolated tornado. So definitely we got all three modes on the table up here with this initial setup later in the afternoon into the early evening time frame. But yeah, let's take a look and go take you back, because I mean, most of the country has been really dry. In fact, let's take a look at the overall 60-day precipitation anomalies, and all these areas that are just shaded in green. There's not that many of them. Those are the areas that have actually seen above average rainfall in the greens and the blues areas. In fact, it's only 18%. So that means 82% of the nation is experiencing some sort of abnormally drought conditions. And all these areas that are red are desperately needed rainfall. So the areas that are in the Pacific Northwest, a good chunk of Texas and Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, most of the Ohio Valley, all these areas in brown, yeah, you need rain. I'm hearing a lot of comments like, "Pal, where's my rain? Where's it at?" I'm like, hey, we got some rain on the table and some beneficial rains in a lot of these areas that are showing up in some of the browns and the reds. You've got some heavy rainfall on the way, compliments of this first initial trough that's going to be diving in heading into your day on Monday. So the northern side is going to be breaking out some severe weather, but there's going to be a southern piece of this that's also going to break out over towards Texas, and that's going to set the stage for some heavy rainfall and also some severe weather along its path as well. So as we get into Monday, the skies should open up, and they should start as early as tomorrow morning, heading into your afternoon, going into the evening time frame. So in fact, the Weather Prediction Center already has a slight risk for excessive rainfall in a good chunk of North Texas, Northeast Texas, parts of eastern portions of Oklahoma, western portions of Arkansas, as well as Missouri, with some definitely much needed rainfall. And those are that areas that were in that brown and deep red. So they haven't really seen much of anything So it might come too fast too soon, and some of these areas could actually experience some flooding rains with this first initial storm system. But there's a southern piece of it that does have a little bit more instability with it as well. So the Cape values are a little bit higher. So that's why the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted that slight risk for severe storms. I think it's right on the cusp of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but especially to the northeast, into Texarkana, going into Longview, Lufkin, back into the Houston Metroplex, down towards Victoria, into Corpus Christi, your bigger cities of Waco, Austin, and San Antonio. All these areas could look for some stronger, and some of those could be on the severe side with some higher wind gusts for sure, some larger hailstones that could be flying. But you can't rule it out if you live down far, all the ways down in the deep south of the Rio Grande Valley. You could be looking at some marginal strong thunderstorms heading into your Monday afternoon. So, but look at that. I mean, how often have you seen this? I mean, the ocean is going to be opening up, tapping into all that water vapor, all those warmer temperatures. And that's why the Eastern Pacific has been so active. So this setup is going to have enough lift to it. It's going to be really pulling in all that water vapor from the Gulf and out here into the Pacific and dumping it over Texas with the complements of this upper level low. So to the northwest of this, the snow is going to be flying in a big way. And that's why they've got those winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories for this region. But the southern branch on the eastern branch of this, that's where the heavier rains are going to be. And especially over this area right here where you see the deep purples, that's the concern of mine, that could actually be seeing some flooding rains with this first system. And yet we have another system that's going to be trailing behind this one, setting up in a lot of the same areas again on Friday. So if you missed out on the first one, you could get some rain on the second system. But a big concern is there going to be the intense winds. I mean, look at the area. Look at the huge area that has all the deep reds. That is on the chart over 60 miles an hour, and that's on the cusp of some severe wind gusts. So yeah, some of these areas could easily top 65, some 70 miles an hour, and some of the higher elevations upwards to 80 miles an hour is not out of the question for this whole corridor in the middle of the country. So definitely secure loose objects and tie down that trampoline, because you don't be wanting to be finding on the top of your neighbor's chimney tomorrow. Okay, so as this system continues to move through, it's going to bring the severe storms along with it. So the southern side of it has more instability with it, and it's got all that moisture to tap into the Gulf of Mexico. And that's why we have another slight risk for severe storms setting up into portions of Louisiana, back into Mississippi as well. This will creep into Georgia as well as into portions of western Tennessee with those stronger storms as we head into the middle of the afternoon. And to the northern side of that, not severe, but you're still going to get rain. So all these areas in Illinois, Indiana, I've been hearing your cries, guys. I know it. It's just dry. It's dry. We got some rain for you coming in Indiana, portions of Ohio. Not nearly as intense of what you're probably going to be seeing in Texas, but hey, some beneficial rains are definitely coming, complements of this low pressure, and it's not going to be on the severe side either. It's just going to be your just average rain. But this will continue to move off, and yet we have another storm system trailing on the backside, entering portions of the Pacific Northwest. I showed you how dry they've been over the last 2 months, if not longer than that. So these rains are welcome to see as well. But down here into portions of Washington and Oregon, and the snow is going to be flying with that second system, because that system actually looks even colder than the first one. So the first one will start to move out. So by the time we get into Wednesday, your 26th of October, we'll have those rain showers again. Nothing severe, just rain showers heading up over portions of Ohio, back into Michigan. It'll kind of wean itself out, just sporadic kind of isolated showers over to the mid-Atlantic states. But we got a reinforcing shot with another significant trough that's going to be diving in towards the middle of the week, dumping reinforcing snows into portions of the higher elevations of Washington and Oregon, back into Idaho again, back into Montana, essentially creeping back into Wyoming. going into the Rocky Mountains as well, with another formidable low pressure center forming. And underneath that, we've got a lot of colder air. And so those deep purples are indicating, hey, this air mass is actually looking a little bit colder than what you're going to be seeing with this first initial air mass. Plus, it's going to creep the snow levels a little bit further south, lower than the first initial higher elevations, and it's going to be a little bit colder. So it's going to be able to probably snow sometimes in areas that had not seen from the first round. It's all complements of this deep trough that's going to be diving in with the jet stream really buckling. I mean, look at this. 1032 Arctic high pressure dragging in that colder air, diving all the way down almost to the coast here. And we got a formidable low setting up over the Rockies. So we could be looking at some pretty intense snowfall heading up over the western slopes here. And yes, out ahead of it again, boom, we have yet another system that's going to tap into those ocean waters and creep it and dump it right over Texas again and Oklahoma, with adding to those rainfall totals. So if you missed out on the first rains on Monday, you're going to have a second round that comes in on Friday over a good chunk of Oklahoma and Texas. So with this colder system, this more digging trough that's going to be coming in, I think Denver misses out on the first system. So the first system is going to be typically a little bit more of western slopes. This is a lot of the front range regions, but I think the second system with that trough digging a little bit further, I think it's going to be pulling some of that precipitation a little bit further off to the east. So we could be looking at, a dusting to a couple of inches of snow along the front range, with Denver picking up some snow with this particular system, but some definitely healthy totals around the western slopes here, but easily a foot of snow in a lot of the regions, and upwards to 2 feet is not out of the question, with the combination of those two systems coming in on Monday, coming in on Friday as well, or for the week. But look at that to the south. Yeah, we have another system. So that system comes in on Monday. Boom, by Friday, we have another significant trough that's going to be diving into Texas, into Oklahoma. So this is a welcome sight to see, with all these areas desperately needing the rainfall. And it's going to be dumping in a big way. So it's going to be having reinforcing rains are going to be coming back over a good chunk of Texas, Oklahoma, parts of Kansas. That'll push into Louisiana. So yeah, definitely if you missed out on the first batch, you're gonna definitely getting the second batch. But what happens as we head towards your Halloween weekend? I know you guys probably have a lot of plans. We got Halloween coming up. Saturday night's probably a night where a lot of you guys have plans, maybe dressing up in costumes. I know my wife and I are going to be making ours this afternoon, as we got plans that evening as well. So everybody wants to know what the weather's going to be like, right? So hey, this is not bad as you head out to about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time. This is not bad at all. I mean, we're talking widespread 60s, right? I mean, it's comfortable. 69 in Dallas, widespread 60s for the southeast and much of the middle of the country. So really just kind of average conditions. So it should actually be a fairly comfortable Halloween weekend, or at least for your Saturday night. And where's the rain going to be? So as that storm system moves out of Texas, this will be your Saturday, October the 29th time frame. So as that storm system moves out of Texas, it'll set up over a good chunk of the southeast. So these areas could be experiencing some rain showers into your Saturday night, heading into Halloween weekend. But most of the country is fairly going to be high and dry. But yet we have another storm system that's going to be coming in off the coastline. So there's not that many areas that are going to be picking up rain. So it should be having comfortable conditions, but there's a few pockets in the southeast and the Pacific Northwest should have some rain around. But other than that, for the rest of the country, should be high and dry and really nice for your Halloween weekend. And then going into Halloween day forecast for your October 31st forecast, again, pretty comfortable conditions. These are almost like just normal high temperatures you would typically kind of see this time of year. So no complaints at all for your Halloween day forecast, at least for the temperatures are concerned. And then overall for the rest of the week going forward, as far as your rain, look at that, guys. This is a welcome sight to see, with all these beneficial rains coming in for the Pacific Northwest and into Seattle, into Portland, going into northern portions of California. Most of this that flies up over here in Idaho and Montana and down here to the Rockies, that'll be in the form of actually some snow. There's that storm system that's going to be fading out over the mountains of Mexico. But combination of that and these two successful storm systems that are coming over and diving in the middle of the country, we got floodgates are open, welcome rains. Look at the chart on the right-hand corner of the screen. Multiple inches of rain, right? Multiple inches of rain. But this is the area of concern that could be looking at some flooding rains into portions of Oklahoma and Arkansas, where some of these areas could actually pick up over 10 inches of rain just in the next 7 days. And that spreads into Missouri. A couple inches spreads into Illinois. A couple inches of rain. Yes, a couple inches of rain in Indiana, folks. So we've got much needed totals on the way for sure for rain. And then that's where your snow is going to fly on the North American view as it pulls down from Alaska through British Columbia all the way through the Rockies. And I think by Friday, a lot of that snow is going to be able to sneak towards portions of Denver with a couple of inches, but healthy totals easily a foot upwards to 2 feet in a lot of these regions in the high elevation. So ski lovers are going to be loving it for sure. And then there's that snow up into Canada. So hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.